I hope everything gets back to normal, and you know we don't get much more affected with this whole thing as much as it is. So tell us about yourself, man. So you're a photographer, and you're like, how you got into this whole line of business. Like, what was the first-hand experience that actually you gravitate towards the camera and photography itself? Let's dig into your background a bit.
So me, my background's actually a little bit similar to yours. I have a music and events background.
Oh, nice.
So I studied music. I've got a bachelor's degree in music management.
Mm-hmm.
So I was involved with an independent record label and working with independent artists. Back in the day, more than 10 years ago. And then during my studies, when I was putting on events myself, that's when I picked up a camera as a hobby, just take pictures of my own events and just practice a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People started asking me to take photos of this and that for them, friends and family. I started to do that, and I just fell in love with the craft and art. It allowed me to be more creative, rather than just manage an artist. I'm able to manage myself as an artist, but at the same time be creative. So that's when I love and I started shooting events and weddings, and slowly I started to realize people's faces lighting up with joy when they looked at certain pictures, and that's what I wanted to pursue and chase. So I crafted my style of shooting. It took me about 5 years to nurture that.
Mm-hmm.
Where I call myself a visual storyteller now, where it's all about storytelling, images that I'm capturing to evoke emotion in the viewer.
Yeah, I was checking some of your stuff on Instagram, which is like it has that depth of storyline behind it, and it's like quite cinematic, which I like, because one of the things I always wanted to get into was photography, but I got I think what you call it, I have ADHD or something like this. I can't pay
Likewise.
attention. Yeah, I can't pay attention to one thing. So we chose to go and become a musician. And me and Cruz, who's watching, thank you very much. By the way, we got more people
Hey
in the
Neil.
house. We got Sanita De Souza in the house. We got Salman in the
Hey
house.
guys.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Share this video with your loved ones. Let them know about the page. And yeah, I was as I was saying, man, we got into music. I never knew you were a musician. I mean, this is new, and this is good. What, you were a vocalist, guitarist, what?
No. So I was into music production, sound engineering, and music production.
Nice.
So I was more studio based, and I got into DJing as well for a few years. But then, because I was working with independent record labels and artists at the time, that's what I decided to pursue at university. So music business is where my educational background lies as well.
Okay, this is all back in London, yeah?
Yeah, all back in London.
Yep. Let me take a wild guess. Drum and bass DJing?
No, I do like drum and bass. It was more like R&B, hip hop, a bit of dancehall,
Nice.
dance, things like that.
Yeah, and like people tell, Cruz is saying time to produce a vegan album. And yeah, man, that's gonna be. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, when I asked you for the your highlights, you sent me in that you know what? Let's check it out. It's written over here that your albums are all vegan. Can you explain it
That's
to
right.
the audience what that means? Because I don't know what that actually literally means in
Yeah.
that sense. Can you give us a backbone to the whole idea?
Yeah. So with books and wedding albums, books, etc. A lot of times in the glue, obviously, some glue is not vegan, right? It's got animal derivatives in it. So the suppliers I work with, they make sure that the glue they use to bind the album is vegan friendly. In terms of the wedding album covers, I only offer natural cloth materials such as linen, cotton, etc. So I don't use or offer leather to any of my clients, regardless of if they want it or if they offer to pay me more. It's just not what I sell. and it's not, it's not my brand. So it's not part of my branding. Sorry. So my brand is all about being ethical and being vegan. So that's why I choose not to offer leather. Yeah, and then the paper itself. So some, photographic papers are not vegan either. So some use like tea and a few other animal derivatives as well. So again, I'm always checking that with my supplier to make sure that the paper they're using is vegan. And then I like to go above and beyond. So what I do is actually plant 12 trees for every album that's ordered by a client.
Which I was getting to as well. It's a crazy idea, man. Where do you do it usually? Like, do you have a area that you do the planting?
Not specific. So I don't actually plant the seeds myself. So it's I donate money basically to charities. One of them is called One Tree Planted, and you can choose the amount of trees that you want them to plant. You can choose the area. So they have different projects at different times. So sometimes some of them are ongoing. So sometimes it will be in the Amazon rainforest. Sometimes it might be in Africa, some forests in Europe, for example. So all over the world, right? In Australia. So you can pick and choose where you want the trees to be planted. Most of the time I choose South America to do it, because obviously that's one of the most effective rainforests in the world. So I pay money to them basically every time a client orders an album, and they plant 12 trees for me.
Man, that's a great way to go about it. I mean, like I'm trying to just process it in my brain, because you end up talking to people that they have this wrong idea about being a vegan. But I mean, the way you're like you are implementing it in your line of work is just very how to say it, it's like a mesmerizing way, as in like whoever thought of making vegan album, like the album, the whole booklet or something like this, using a vegan paper, to that extent. Which now I understand why you say you're doing this like kind of religiously and ethically. So basically, but for me, okay, before we proceed to the whole topic, the thing is, like, okay, I am vegan as well, but I've chosen to be vegan because of the health benefits. Because I mean, some of you guys know, I mean, some of the my followers, they know that I'm diabetic, and because of this whole diabetes, I had to go through a lot of diet changes. And still, when I was putting meat in my diet, it was not I couldn't adjust that much, so I had to go towards the vegan, the whole let's say plant-based diet. And it helped me, like it helped me drastically. As I was telling you off air, like I literally saw the changes happening. Like I could, as I told you, like I don't turn on the AC during the day. Like one of the things that I was getting, like I was sweating like nonstop, because my body was just overworking, even with the diabetes thing that I had, and the whole minimal diet that I had. But still, because I was consuming some proteins and animal products, it still had that effect on me. But with the plant-based diet, it's just, man, it's a very, very, I mean, I can't even put it in words. It's just, unless you try it yourself and you see the changes. So now we can proceed to the main topic, as in, okay, so what was that main reason that made you to turn vegan?
For me, I'm vegan for the animals. I've obviously seen the health benefits myself too. I know a lot about the health benefits of eating plant-based. But the main reason I went vegan was for the animals. Once I realized the cruelty that happens in the meat industry, the dairy industry, the egg industry, animal agriculture in general, like the suffering that animals go through for leather, for wool, for even silk,
Yes.
all unnecessarily. So that's the reason I went vegan.
Well, the thing is, like, man, as still, like I was telling you off air, is still people, like the people, they choose to not understand it, or they just don't want to, like, give into it, because it's a very drastic change. You understand that? Yeah, it's just like letting go of like eons of that. I mean, it's a habit of eons, man. You cannot just let go of it. I mean, for me, because I always loved like vegetarian food and stuff like this, it was it wasn't an easy shift, but it was way more like simple for me to switch to plant-based diets. But man, I believe if you can do it for 2 weeks, you can do it forever. That's how I look at look into things. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that what is your take on the whole thing, that why veganism or even plant-based diets, like, it has a bad reputation, as in like, okay, maybe it's not working for your body, and there's a lot of other people just they bring up excuses to justify what they want to do. So what is your take on that whole thing, that as like the bad rep about veganism?
So it's like you said, when someone does something their whole life and they've been told by society, by their parents, by their educational system, by the governments as well, like, this is the right thing to do, and that's what they've done their whole life, and then all of a sudden you tell them that it's the wrong thing to do and what you're doing is not correct or the right thing to do or ethical. It's hard for people to process and digest that information, right? Because your whole life you've known the total opposite. So it can be a shock to the mind and the system. So it can take a while. Like for myself, I actually found out about the realities of the dairy industry at least 6 months before I went vegan, I'd say. So I always said, I wanted to go vegan, but I'd miss cheese too much.
Oh man, yeah.
So yeah, and cheese has got,
It's addictive, man. It's super addictive.
Right? It's addictive. Yeah. So I used to consume on average 1 kilogram of cheese a week, which is
wow.
Yeah. At one point, even 2 pints of milk a day, right? Mm-hmm. So I was hooked on dairy, like most people are. But I saw some videos about the dairy industry and the realities and the cruelty on Facebook circulating, just randomly, just popped up on my feed. And when I saw it, I was like, damn, does this really happen? Everything. I was vegetarian at that time, and I was like, surely even being vegetarian isn't good then, it's just like as bad as eating, if not worse.
Exactly.
So
yes.
I was on my mind for like 6 months before I said, you know what, enough is enough. If I'm vegetarian for the animals, it makes no sense. I'm being a hypocrite by being vegetarian for the animals, because I'm not doing any more good than a meat eater, right? So that's when I decided to make the switch, and I said, even though I'm addicted to dairy, I'm going to give myself a 3-month challenge to educate myself about what being vegan is and what a vegan lifestyle is, and exploring vegan alternatives in foods, etc. And I think about 2 weeks in, I said to everyone, this is me for life. I can never go back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, I mean, for you was much more of that whole, seeing some videos or reading some articles about how the animal the whole animal cruelty side of the business, which is, man, it's very sad. I mean, when you realize there's a lot of animal product and a lot of other stuff that we use during our daily, it's a very daily, for example, the creams that we use, or as you mentioned, the glues and stuff like this. I mean, who the hell would have thought to put an animal product and a glue? What is the reason? It's just like, it's crazy. But I mean, I'm sure you will agree with me that the main reason I became a vegan, it was, maybe people will like laugh at me and they will tell me such a naive person you are, but actually it made me realize, because I reflected back on myself and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't have anything to lose, so I'll just give it a try. I always liked vegetarian dishes, so I'll go for it for a bit. It was the documentary called What the Health.
Yes.
Have you watched it? So you've seen that. I mean,
great documentary.
It's a great documentary. The guy goes even to all the organizations that they're supporting, fighting cancer and diabetes. Even like he goes nitpicking on the recipes that they're providing on their website for like diabetic people and like cancer patients. Even those recipes were not advised for any patient. nor diabetic or like a cancer patient. It's just crazy when you look at it. It's like, then you remember in that section, one of the CEOs, he refused to complete the interview because he
Yeah.
knew he knew this is completely out of his power. It's something that apparently three main companies in the world are in charge of this whole thing.
Yeah.
This whole we were talking about the pharmaceutical side of it, because they want you, but basically what they even like basically the whole message in a nutshell was that they want to keep you sick. That's the way for their business to grow. So for me, that was the winning ticket to become a vegan. But again, as I said, I was looking at it at the health benefits that it was providing me. But I still don't get it. I'm sure you found these guys in your way that they tell you,
Of
man,
course.
from where I get my proteins, bro, I mean, dude, now me and you, we can actually, we have a backlog of proofs. Listen, dude, lentils, chickpeas, mushrooms, which is, the texture is like
Oh,
meat.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other sources that we can use as proteins, which actually contains more nutrition value and more protein, like 30% lentil itself. Or you know what? Let's give one example that everyone knows. By the way, sorry if I'm blabbering a lot, but I love to talk about this. I'm not trying to steal the spotlight from you, but
No,
I want you to elaborate on it as well. You
Yeah.
know why they call beans the poor man's beef? Because it has 30% more protein than red beef, man. It's just crazy when you look at those stats. It's just like, how come you are either delusional or you're just not giving in to understand these points that your body, okay, we evolved. Your body obviously is evolving with you during time. Give it a chance. It might, we might need to change our diet. Maybe this is to go about. Maybe, which we're gonna get to that sections as well, which a plant-based diet can actually prevent chronic diseases, which we're gonna talk about it. But I mean, I just want to hear your take on this. You obviously had that guy in your life which asked you these questions.
Yeah.
So how you answered to them, man?
I just tell them that I'm getting the protein from the same source that your protein gets their protein from. Cutting out the middleman. They're getting their protein from animals who are eating vegetables and grains to convert into protein. Animals aren't this magical protein machine. They don't generate this automatically. They're converting this by the food they eat. And if we eat those same foods they're eating, the strongest animal in the animal kingdom, look at it. A massive, huge gorilla that can probably fight 10, 20 guys with one arm, right?
Exactly, yes.
Gorillas, what do they eat?
Plants.
Dominantly vegan food, plants, Cut out the middleman. We eat the plants that we know that we can convert to, protein. And palm foods, nuts, for example, very good. Hemp seeds, mushrooms, like you said, we've got tofu, all sorts of stuff, oats, even lentils, beans, chickpeas, brown rice, even, all these types of foods have all the essential amino acids in them. So one specific type of food won't necessarily have all of them, but by combining them, we can get all the essential amino acids. Nobody just eats a bowl of brown rice, right? We have that bowl of brown rice with some vegetables and with some beans or some chickpeas, etc. So we're creating a meal out of it, and by combining these different protein sources, as a vegan, you can smash all your, protein targets.
Yeah, you can have it all in one go. And
Yeah.
and this is, I mean, as you said, the whole gorilla section that you mentioned, if you look at their, the way that they were explaining it in the documentary, it was, your body anatomy. Okay, if an animal is eating meat, okay, let's say the carnivores, their intestine is short length. So it's made for their body. It's made with this measurements that you need this much of fuel to run this particular device, or let's say engine. But for us, because we have a long length, I forgot the name.
Intestine.
Yeah, intestine. I mean, for us, the meat gonna take a longer time to
To
process,
digest.
yeah, to digest, and there is a longer way to go down. So
Yep.
there is something like there's much more into it. Like for example, you know, some of the meat it doesn't even get digest; it stays in the body,
Wow.
which is like like some of the fats it stays in the body as well, which is gonna like eventually gonna cause you cholesterols and stuff like this.
Yep.
So it's just a crazy topic that I still don't get it. I'm still like on a quest to find that answer. Like why, people literally, they're down to at least try anything once in their lifetime. But when you add this label of veganism or the vegan thing pops out on the product or the packaging, it's like no man, I don't know what they put. I mean, for example, for me, I would never eat Beyond the Meat because I've tried it once and it literally was the most grossest thing I could ever put in my mouth. It was just, I didn't even know what it is. It's just okay. Have you ever had Beyond Meat?
I haven't. Not myself.
Apparently, there is a way to cook it, but the one I had, it was just like, man, what the hell is this? It's just like, you know what? Okay, if you have cravings for these type of things, there's other things that you can, substitute. You got mushrooms, as we said. But you know what? We have enough time talking about this. Let's kick it back to the comment section. Sunita is saying, "Yo, Chandan, the Sojitra, you rock." And
Hi, Sunita.
yeah, and Omi Patel is saying hello from UK. Thank you very much for tuning from UK to all
That's
the
my
UK.
sister.
Thank you very much, the UK family. And Salman is saying, yeah, he's talking regarding me that I changed drastically. And Neil is saying, Chandan, you have to introduce Ahmed. He's saying, you need to introduce me to the word of dokla. What's a dokla?
Dokla. So that's a. So Neil actually sees me in dokla all the time for breakfast. It's an Indian dish. It's from Gujarat, and it's made out of chickpea flour,
Oh, okay.
like a soft, spongy, savory cake, almost.
So it's, okay.
And you can serve that with tamarind chutney, yogurts. Obviously, in my case, it would be soya yogurt or almond yogurt or something like that. But yeah, it's a savory, soft, spongy cake. Basically, it looks a bit like SpongeBob SquarePants. It's yellow and fluffy.
So it's a dish. It's like
Yeah.
some sort of a bread, you say, like a pancake, borderline
Not
bread.
a bread. It's from chickpea flour. So imagine a chick. Have you ever had a chickpea omelette?
No, man.
Okay, it's like a chickpea omelette, but it's very, very fluffy, very spongy, very fluffy. So it's a different texture to a cake. It's not bready, but it's more fluffy.
Oh man, okay? Where they serve this thing?
Go to most Indian restaurants in Dubai would sell it. Specifically, if you go to one which is pure vegetarian, they tend to be, Gujarati cuisine most of the time, so they should be serving it up. Just that they don't use yogurt in it.
So I ask for dokla.
Dokla, and just check they don't use yogurt, and that's all.
Okay.
Some yogurt, some people don't.
Yo, man, I will for sure. I mean, dude, I love Desi cuisine. I love Desi. You know what? A fun fact: when I turned vegan, for a while I was eating, palak paneer and stuff like this, and in my head I'm like, yeah, this is not cheese. I thought this is like, tofu.
Right.
And then we were sitting with my cousin, and my cousin is like, "You're vegan, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Dude, you're chewing down on cheese." I'm like, "Yeah, it's just tofu." It's like, "No, dude, this is cottage cheese." I'm like, "Isn't that tofu?" It's like, "No, bro, it's just a different process of the milk, and they get this out of it." I'm like, "Man, what the hell? You could have just like, It's like, man, I thought you knew about it." I'm like, wow, man. Like in the middle of the dish, I just gave up.
Wow.
To that extent, dude, all my Desi friends, they know me. I love palak paneer. Like, oh my God. Like, my mouth is watering right now just talking about it. It's like that crazy. I love that dish. But when I knew that they're using, I mean, plus when nowadays when I go to a desi restaurant, I make sure that they're not using animal ghee, because man,
Yeah.
desi cuisine, they can't let go of the ghee, bro.
Yeah, it's loaded with it.
Yeah. So moving on, man. Adnan is in the house. I think he was in the house for a while. He's saying,
Hi, Adnan.
he's saying he actually has another podcast called Unmuted. I think
Ah,
today was
okay.
one of the dates that he changed one of his episodes, and it's kind of like came on the same time. And he's saying, "Wish I could stay." He's saying, I'll catch the reply later tonight. Thank you very much, Adnan. If you're watching this later on, thank you very much for dropping by. It means the world to me, man. It's such an interesting topic, yeah. I mean, it's just hard to convince people to try one thing, as I was asking. I mean, as I was saying, it's just hard to just tell them to try something new. Just try a vegetarian dish, because so many people, they don't look at it as a full meal, and they just look at it as a condiment with the meal, which is like, let's say, a chopped salad, or like a Cobb salad, or like stuff like this. They don't like, literally. Okay, for a good example is in Iran. Like,
Okay.
they eat a lot of herbs while they eat their main meal, which is like kebabs or any rice dish or like gravy dish or stews. They eat a lot of herbs, which is like basil, mint, radishes, turnips, spring onion. We eat a lot of that while we have the main meal.
Right.
But for them, it's like, for me, it's a hard time when I go to Iran. I'm like, man, everywhere you look is just, everyone is just like, presenting you with different kebabs and like chicken kebabs and stuff like this. And it's just a hard time. But for, like, for you, what is the advice that you want to give to a person? How would you encourage them to try something that it's vegan?
Just be open. Be open to new foods. You don't know what you're gonna love or like until you try it, right? If you've always been skeptical about trying or eating vegan food, or non-meat food, for example, you've already got that perception in your mind, right? You're not going to enjoy it when you're eating that.
Exactly. Yes.
Open-minded, first of all. Try new things, and you'll find some dishes. You'll be surprised, as a meat eater, as a dairy lover, that there's so many vegan dishes and alternatives out there that you like. So I tell a lot of people that eat meat that, as humans, in this day and age where we're cooking meat, we're seasoning meat, etc., we're not craving the meat, we're craving the texture and the flavor. Okay?
Exactly.
That can be recreated using, like you said, for example, mushrooms. There's even Michelin-starred chefs around the world. I've seen videos where they're creating watermelon steaks on a barbecue, on a grill, and they're smoking it for like more than 24 hours. And these are Michelin-starred chefs, trying it blindly and being blown away by it. So it's possible, you just need to find those types of vegan replacements, which in your mind and for your taste buds, recreate those flavors and textures. It won't be completely identical, but that's why it's important to be open-minded, because it will be very similar.
Well, I mean, in your opinion, what is your take on I mean, for me, I never had the courage to try it, because, I mean, I don't look at it as, I mean, for me, cheese is cheese. When I hear vegan cheese, and I'm like, okay, I know it's tofu, but tofu, I don't know what's the process, I can't, I just can't. I can't go for that. I don't know, man. I just can't. Well, what about you? Have you ever tried like vegan cheese and like those products that only we've seen it from the animal products, like cheese, like, okay, milk we got almond milk, which I love, or cashew milk, but one main product is the cheese, that there is vegan cheese, but I still cannot buy into it. What's your take on that?
So I don't consume a lot of vegan cheese. I'll be totally honest. I consume it once in a blue moon. When I do enjoy it. But just on that, it's not actually made from tofu. A lot of them nowadays are made from coconut fats. So it's made using vegetable fats instead, basically. And the way they make the cheese, it's a similar process to making dairy cheese. So you still have a slightly similar flavor to. You can also get vegan fermented cheese as well, for example, and vegan blue cheese, etc.
Wow.
But yeah, eat
Blue
it from time to
cheese.
time. I think it's a good thing if it's gonna get people to stop eating, animal-based cheese. I say why not? It's a great thing.
But man, it's gonna be a hard task for anyone. I mean, maybe that's why this whole protest happens and it's like, yeah, you guys need to stop eating this, eating that, I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just sharing my knowledge with you. And over here, I'm not trying to, offend you in any way. I don't want to offend your beliefs. Maybe that was one of the ways that they had to go against carnivores. That you guys are hurting the animals by using them in these such products. Maybe that was one of the, like, let's say a plan B for the vegan movement to go against the whole meat eating society.
Sorry, what? Can you just touch on that a little bit more, just so
I
I
mean,
can understand?
how I believe. I mean, this is how I believe it. Maybe that was one of the ways that. Okay, they've tried different ways, but they said, okay, let's use the animal cruelty part. That
Right, right.
you are hurting the animal just to take something off it and use it in some other product.
Yeah.
So maybe they use this method to go against and make that movement about veganism.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I agree. Yeah. So most of these meat replacements and vegan alternatives for non-vegan foods not based at the vegan audience. They're based, for example, KFC sells vegan burgers that are very similar to chicken, but it's not made from chicken. It's from like seitan and stuff like that. Most people buying that are not, it's not aimed at vegans. It's aimed at people who enjoy a chicken burger to be open-minded and eat a product at an establishment which they love, such as KFC. So they can be like, oh, okay, it's got similar texture, the flavor is still there, they're using the same breading, etc.
Yeah, the same flavor, seasonings and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So it gives them that opportunity to see. For those type of companies, obviously they are tapping it into this for the money. There's no argument there.
Yes.
They're not doing it for ethical reasons, or they would stop selling meat if that was the case, or dairy. But they're doing it to make money. They're following where the money is, right? Where the customers are, where consumers are. But it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Some vegans will buy it and they'll like it. That's absolutely fine. But like you said, it is a good thing. It's aimed at, I think, people to just try food. I've got myself meat-eating friends and also dairy-loving vegetarian friends who now buy certain vegan cheeses that they love, and helping them to, reduce their intake of animal products.
Man, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, by the way, what about your wife? Is she vegan?
She is, yeah. She's been vegan for 1 year now.
Did you convert her?
I didn't convert. I don't convert anybody. I don't think as humans we can convert someone, but we can equip them with the knowledge and the right information. We can tell them the realities of the animal agriculture industry, the harm that meat and dairy can do to our body and health, and what they choose to do with that information is up to them. All we can do is plant the seeds and hopefully hope that they grow and sprout into good things.
That's great, man. I mean, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. You have one like, let's say you added one more person to our cause, man. But I'm still struggling with that. I'm still struggling because, man, I actually caught up in situations when I go out with my friends. For example, we want to stay, like, we have a staycation. We just want to stay, and these guys are fast food guys, and I'm the only guy over there who's vegetarian, and I'm like, guys, can we at least go to a McDonald's so I can get a green salad? Like they want to have Pizza Hut and stuff like this, and like, oh my God, man, you guys are putting so much calories in your bodies. You're not understanding this, Well, for me, it's much more hard to, my circle of friends, to make them understand this whole thing is just very hard. That's why I don't push it over people. I just tell them, it's like, listen, man, you're putting this much of calorie in your body, just keep in mind, you need to work it out. Your body needs to work this within itself, so you can actually get the nutritions and the benefits and stuff like this. But if you eat this much of, like, let's say a medium-sized McDonald's meal, it's actually borderline the whole calories that you need for a day, and you literally get hungry after, and like you have the meal and you get hungry after like an exact hour, you are hungry again. That shows how much garbage is in this product, and it's just literally nothing, no nutrition. Like there was some articles that even the veg that they use, it's not processed or like planted in the in like natural areas, or like it's not that whole, there's some chemical procedures that they're taking it, it's taking place within those this whole procedure. But it's just crazy when you look at it this way, and it's just crazy to make people understand this side of the whole business, because I think the problem lays over there, that they don't understand it. This is the business, which I am referring to as the pharmaceuticals, that they need you to be lingering in this level, being a sick person, so they can sell you that thing. I mean, do you agree with me on this point?
I can see where you're coming from, definitely.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. You know what?
Revealed in certain documentaries as well. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like that documentary was an eye opener for me, but after that, I really digged into it. I mean, like, dude, one of my main supporters and the first supporters I ever had, it was my mom. And like every day she comes to me, is like, "What do you want to eat?" I'm like, "Mom, anything, anything vegetarian." She's like, "Okay." Like dude, my favorite veg are now is like okra and like eggplants and pumpkin. Dude, I go crazy on this type of things. Like as you said, actually what you said made me realize it a bit more. Now I have more evidence to show to people, like, back myself up. You said that you're not looking at the texture. You want to get that flavor. As you said, you can do the same thing. You can apply the same procedure to any vegetarian dish. You can add those spices, you can add this and that. You don't need any animal products for that sake. So and Sonia over here, she's saying well said, Chandan, I think is regarding the explanation you were saying. So man, it's a good segue. Have you ever had anyone in your family that they like, not that they turned vegan, but because they started having plant-based diet, or because of their disease or illness had to go through a plant-based diet, and they saw the change?
Yes, actually. So my wife's granddad, who's more than 80 years old and who's had diabetes for 20 years or something like that, and he's got osteoporosis, he became raw vegan.
Wow.
And soon after, he came off all of his medication. His blood sugar levels were back within normal ranges, and he had less aches and pains from the osteoporosis. So he was type 2 diabetic, and like I said, he was taking insulin and whatnot for like 20 plus years, and pretty much overnight, by being raw vegan, within the few days, he saw a significant change to his health. And you can see it from his skin, you can see it on his face, his energy. At that age is incredible. So the proof is there. I've seen it firsthand.
Well, okay, as you mentioned, energy-wise, can you explain it a bit more? Like, do we really get more energy with being on a plant-based on a plant-based diet? Like, what is it like? Can you give us your side of the story? How you saw the changes in yourself?
It's the micronutrients we're consuming. A lot of animal products, they might have, they might be high in protein or high in iron or high in calcium, but that's it. It's one type of food or meat or cheese. It might be high in one thing, and that's it. That's all you're looking at. And it's negative and bad with all the other stuff, like the cholesterol and all the bad fats and etc. like that. Whereas plant-based food, you eat one type of vegetable or one fruit, and it's going to be high in one type of micronutrient or vitamin or mineral, and then it's also going to be loaded with many others, right? So when you're consuming more whole food, plant-based foods in your diet, you're all of a sudden going to see a significant change in your energy, because you're going to be consuming a lot more B vitamins from food sources, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can your iron from there as well. You know, certain things you might have to top up with vitamin C. So, for example, plant-based iron, it's not as bioavailable to our body the way our body absorbs it. So one way to increase that is by mixing foods high in vitamin C along with iron-rich foods, so that your body can consume more of the iron. So, for example, one way of doing that is just squeeze a bit of lemon into your food, get that vitamin C in, and that's it.
Well, there's other options, as in, like, green
Other
bell
options.
peppers. Green bell peppers are
Exactly.
high rich with vitamin C, like
Yes.
crazy
Any type of
vitamin C.
peppers,
Yeah.
mix it in with your food, and that's it. And you've got a high iron, you know, high in vitamin B's, for example, which is very crucial for our energy levels. And as long as you're consuming a lot of those calories, because one thing a lot of people forget, and when people try to go vegan or whole food plant-based, they try and eat the same portions, because in their mind and their eyes, it seems as if they're eating a lot, right? So you usually have 3 big plates, or let's say three normal plates of food a day, and that's their total calorie consumption on a normal day, right? With dairy or meat or eggs or whatever. Do the same with plant-based food, but they don't realize that the calorie profile is completely different. They'll need to actually eat double the amount of whole food plant-based, like vegetables and fruits, etc., to get the same calories. So if you're not eating a lot of calories, you might feel lightheaded, etc., because in your mind you're thinking you're consuming a lot, but realistically you're not consuming that much food. You just need to eat more veg in your diet. Just increase the portions.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I've read somewhere that if you eat 1 kg of vegetables, like mixed vegetables, is literally around 500. Sorry, let me correct myself. 1 kg of broccoli. 1 kg. That's impossible to consume. 1 kg in one sitting. So 1 kg of broccoli, it's 500 calories. Dude, that's insane. 500. Sorry, like 1 kg of broccoli, it's 500 calories. This is crazy, but you get like a burger, and that burger itself with all the other condiments, it's like 700 to 800. It's just crazy. It's just like, that's what it made me realize. That's how I dissected this thing for myself. I mean, that's why I say I went for it, because of the health benefits. I broke it down for myself. Okay, I can have a lot of veg, I can feel full, and I can get those benefits out of it, and I'm still borderline, not even borderline, I'm like, 75%. It's not even there, it's not that high in calories. Like, it's just crazy. When you look at it this way, I think this is the only way that you can, in my opinion, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the only way I think of convincing someone. Because when I talk to my friends and I tell them, dude, I give them the same example of the 1 kg broccoli, and they're like, really, dude? I mean, it's like, yeah, it's hard to have 1 kg of broccoli, but imagine you can have a lot of, like, a huge quantity of veg that it's not even remotely near to a burger, as in, like, calorie size we're talking. And it's a great point that you said that it's completely different profile when it comes to, people think if they eat meat and stuff, they're gonna get full, they're gonna get energy, iron and stuff like this, but the veg itself has all these things in it, and as you mentioned, we're just buying it from another okay, let's say a distributor. You get it? Yeah, so
you're not getting it directly from a source, you're getting it from this, third party.
Yeah. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, apparently is the only 2 vitamins that we don't get from the plant directly is B6 and B12, yeah?
B12 and vitamin D.
Oh, sorry. So these 2. Oh, yeah. Vitamin D and B12. So apparently these are like good bacteria for our body that grows on the plant itself. And the only way to get it is to eat the chicken or the fish or the cow that ate the plant.
So with B12, that so B12 actually used to be made, or in the ground, within the earth, right? So plants used to be rich in B12, but due to the depletion of nutrients with over farming in today's agriculture, the soils, they're not nutrient rich anymore. You don't have, they're not loaded with that B12 anymore. So as a vegan, it's good to supplement that, because due to the poor farming methods over the years and centuries, we're not able to absorb that through our foods anymore. Even touching on the point where animals, give you B12, a lot of farmers actually give B12 supplements to their, livestock. People that eat meat, they're not necessarily getting it from the animal itself. They're getting it from the animal who's now taking a supplement to then give them the B12. So it just makes sense if everyone just takes a B12 supplement, cut out that middleman, cut out the cruelty, and just be healthy. Well, and with vitamin D, that's not something we can get from food. Everyone, including people that eat meat, should supplement vitamin D, unless you live somewhere in the tropics where you're always out in the sun and it's clear, clear atmosphere, low pollution. But especially places like Europe, even in Dubai, where the atmosphere isn't that clean, and it's, we need to get vitamin D so that we can absorb that.
I mean,
we don't get
it was very awesome to know that almond milk has vitamin D as well.
Yeah, so you get a lot of fortified vegan foods. So again, like if you consume a lot of fortified plant-based milks, a lot of fortified cereals, for example, then you're completely fine. They're usually fortified with vitamin D and B12. But it's depending on what your diet is and what you consume, it's always good to maybe top it up by a supplement, a couple of times a week.
Which, I mean, I remember I've been using vitamin C tablets like way before this whole pandemic thing breaks in, and like people go crazy on this whole vitamin C tablets and stuff like this. And dude, I used to get like 2 of them for one price. Now it's like each pack for the same price. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? I mean, I was in this whole bandwagon long back before you guys joined in, man. I mean, I had to put it in my in my diet because of the diabetes. I got diabetes. The way I got diabetes, I knew that I have diabetes with the eye problem that started with me, because it affected my eyes and my retina started bleeding. So some of the people, they're aware that I was in 2018 was the roughest year of my life. I was literally blind for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I just knew my room square meters. I just knew this measurement. I used to hold the walls just to go to the washroom, and my mom, holds my hand, sometimes feeding me and stuff like. So it was a crazy time for me. That's why that's why I reflected on myself as like, man, you had one body, and you put your body through all this fast food, and you just became a train wreck when it came to food. Because dude, like before I realized I had diabetes, man, my diet was just crazy. Like crazy fast food. I didn't even know what's water, man. I was just a Pepsi dude. Like soft drinks. Left and right soft drinks. I mean, Neil, if he's still watching, he knows me. I used to come to the jamming session with a can of Red Bull or like a can of Pepsi, and I used to have like literally 4 cans of Pepsi a day. Now is 5 years that I didn't have a drop of Pepsi, like carbonated drink. Man, what a relief. What a relief. Like when I see my friends that are having Pepsi, I'm like, man, you know how much stuff you're putting in your body. You're putting the caffeine. Let's talk caffeine. This thing is loaded with caffeine.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who can't sleep. Like he's always on the WhatsApp group. Like if you text him 5 a.m., he's awake. I'm like, dude, stop drinking Pepsi. It's crazy because you drink a lot of Pepsi and you're using your phone 24/7. That's why you're not getting. Your body is just like, what the hell is going on, dude? Are we working graveyard shifts or whatever, man? I mean, it's crazy. People don't understand what they're putting their body through. It's not because I'm fighting for a cause, which this cause is beautiful if you understand it. It's not that I'm fighting for a cause. It's just that reflect to yourself, see what you're putting in your body. Your body is a
100%.
holy. It's holy. You need to treat it. It's because your body is connected to your soul. You need to give it, because even there was a philosopher, I think, he said that your medicine is the food that you eat.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else you need to fix. I mean, when I became a diabetic, it's basically for me now. I just, I minimize the whole like the whole definition of being a diabetic into one single thing: eat healthy. Basically, you need to eat healthy. There is no way around it. Your body is malfunctioning because of different sorts of things, and now you need to put an order for it. So sorry if I blabbered again. This is just my life journey, and I'm very excited that try my best to make people understand that you need to make a drastic change. If you eat fast food and you go to the gym, okay, we can understand that, we can agree to that, but again, still it's not beneficial for your body. Again, I'm saying this, I'm not fighting for any cause or anything, I'm just talking health wise. So I mean, that's great that you had a family member that they actually went raw vegan. Wow, man, that's like a step up, man. That's a way great. That's awesome, man. I mean, your take on that plant-based diets can prevent chronic diseases. How do you encourage people to actually look into these detailed topics so they can get their side of the story properly, as in not just to go to any website or Google it? Like, how do you want them to look at this? How to break it down from themselves?
So it's I'm going to touch on a point you said about looking into what you put in your body. Our bodies are like car engines and cars, right?
Exactly.
If you put the wrong fuel in, down the line, it's going to stop working. And that's exactly what happens to your body, right? You put the wrong type of fuel in for your body, you're going to get problems down the line. Diabetes, well, type 2 diabetes anyway, it's purely bad lifestyle choices and what you eat, right? It comes down to that.
It's actually hypertension. Sorry, like even the doctors told me with you, okay, let's say it might be genetic, but for my case was hypertension.
Hypertension.
Yes, it's basically hypertension is that you consume a lot of high calorie foods, and your body is like, man, what the hell is going on? Are we doing something with this or not? So it's being stored.
Yeah. It's not being converted as fuel. So like you said, it's the wrong type of fuel. And even heart disease, for example, a lot of it can be prevented by cutting out the animal products in the first place. And by being vegan or whole food plant-based, you can actually reverse the damage that's been done through heart disease. I'll give you an example. So people need to start looking at, they don't have to listen to us. They don't need to watch these documentaries. I'm just going to give you an example, which you can log on to Google right now and see. Type in the daily safe milligram of cholesterol per day. And it will tell you on Google that you should, not just Google, I'm using Google as a source, but obviously these are credible sources are listed on there, right? Saying you should consume no more than 300 milligrams of dietary cholesterol per day. 200 milligrams if you had a high risk of heart disease. Now you type into Google milligram of cholesterol in a raw egg, and it's going to be the same whether it's boiled, cooked, fried, whatever. Actually, if it's fried, it's going to be a hell of a lot more. So in a raw egg, it's 186 milligrams. People for breakfast have more than 2 eggs. So you're consuming you're exceeding the safe limit of cholesterol just in your breakfast. Forget about everything else you're having throughout the day. So just look into what you're eating. Stop looking at, oh, but what I'm eating, this milk or this cheese is high in calcium. First of all, it's not bioavailable. So although it's high in calcium, it's not bioavailable. So you're not consuming it. You're better off eating a lot of fruit and veg that's high in calcium instead, that your body can absorb. I'm eating red beef or red meats for, my iron, for example. Don't look at the good thing, look at the bad things. What's it doing to your heart? Down the line, you're going to get a stroke. You might get a heart attack. Look at where can I get the iron source from on a plant-based diet? And along with that, you'll get so much more goodness from it. So just start looking into all these good things that you think you're consuming, and try finding those micronutrients elsewhere, and you'll see the magic unfold within your body.
Well, man, it's crazy as you mentioned. Man, an egg is 186 milligram fat. Man,
186. And that's
just
medium egg. That's
yeah,
medium egg.
yeah, that's just like raw. You know, that's like super raw. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy, man. I mean, now I'm rethinking, like, you know, going back to the days that we were eating those
Yeah.
things. Dude, sometimes we eat 3 eggs and, you know, sunny side, which is fried. And it's just imagine.
It's probably like 600 milligrams, 700 milligram of dietary cholesterol in that one breakfast.
One way I explained this thing to my friend, because they were having a heavy meal, like, you know, heavy breakfast. I was like, listen, the way that our background, like, let's say, okay, your origin is Indian or whatever. I'm Iranian, half Arab. The whole Middle Eastern region, this type of cuisine that we have, it was made for something, because back in the days they were hardworking people, so they had to take this much of calories and carbs, and this much of, they needed this fuel to work throughout the day. But nowadays, with this enhanced technology, that you can just pick up your phone and order upsize double cheeseburger, I don't know, whatever, now it's not the time to eat like this. It's just because you're gonna eat this much, and at the end of the day, you're just gonna sit on your couch and watch some Netflix, you know? Or like what? Maximum, you're gonna go to your office and sit on your desk, and again, you're sitting. Basically,
Yeah.
you're sitting. So this whole thing is just, you know, storing up in your body, and without any other outlet, is just being there for the rest of your life, which is gonna start creating, you know, the whole chronic diseases, as in, like, you know, cholesterol. Your pancreas is dying. It's like, you know, your liver, dude. The amount of alcohol,
Shocking.
it's shocking. Like with the alcohol, like literally people are killing. It's just like, you know, they gave him a tool to kill your own liver. Sorry, like to kill your own liver. It's just
Liver.
crazy. I mean, that's why I'm saying you need to, you know, look into details. Like, dude, like a few days back I met a guru type of guy, which he's not a guru, but he looks like a guru. He's into sound healing.
Okay.
And he told me, I told him, man, I mean, like, I have a problem. I cannot, like, lift heavy objects because of the eye surgeries that I had and stuff like this. So I'm not allowed to do heavy workouts. It's like, man, I just tell you to do one thing. First of all, send me your A1C test results. For the people that are watching, A1C is it's a 3 months blood sugar test that it shows that the previous 3 months how your body was functioning with the sugar that you were consuming. So he said, give me this A1C results, and the second thing you can do is just whenever you get up in the morning, have a 1.5 liter water. And I was like, that's it? He's like, yes. He's like, and he gave me another good example. It was like, you would love someone to give you a proper massage. I'm like, yes. He's like, exactly the same thing. When you inflate your stomach with 1.5 liter of water, because your stomach is inflating, it kind of like pressurizes on the other organs, and it's kind of an internal massage for your organs. So it's like, you know, this is the way that maybe we need to approach people to, you know, address this issue. Is like, you know what, if you do this, this would happen. Like, you know, we go about it like in a very moderate way. Like, you know, we take it step by step, because in one go you want to tell the guy to get away from a cheeseburger. It's like, man, I can't. So I think why I said that, like, the whole veganism movement, it's, which I want to talk about, is that whole controversy behind it. Maybe they're going about this in a wrong way. Maybe we need to look down on how we need to attack this. Not attack it, as in, like, you know, address the issue. Is like, we are talking for your own benefit. This is not like I will benefit out of it. Like, the plants are there for everyone, which, you know, it depends on you. If you're up to the game, you can have it and try it and see the benefits. But we need to work on the way of explaining it, of establishing this understanding for everyone. So I want to take your side of the whole thing. Like, what you think that are the whole vegan movement is going the wrong way about this thing, or what is this whole controversy behind it?
I don't necessarily think anyone's going about it the wrong way, because I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Different methods and different tactics work for different people. And as human beings, we all absorb information in different ways, right? So, when we're learning things, some people learn it in different ways than others do. So yeah, it just depends on basically how we deliver it to the person that we're trying to deliver to. Just adapt it so that it makes sense in their head. For example, some people care about the environment, so talking about the nutritional benefits to them, it's probably not something they want to hear. But if we tell them about the devastating effects that the dairy and the animal agriculture industry, the meat industry has on the planet, that can get them thinking and get them to question their actions. If we talk to somebody who loves animals and they love dogs and cats, we need to make them realize that there's no real difference between a cow and a chicken and a dog. The only difference is their perception. They both have eyes to see, they both have ears to hear, they both have a heart to love, they all want to live. But it's our perception, and due to social conditioning, that they think it's okay to kill one animal for food, but look after and love another one, such as a pet. And then you find people that love working out and trying to stay healthy and fit. And that's the people we need to talk to, about the nutritional benefits of a whole food plant-based diet too, because they'll want to know all about where can we get, the protein, where can we get the micronutrients. And once you actually start showing them, so for example, my breakfast alone this morning, I'm just going to give you a quick insight to that.
Now, please do, because I was about to ask you what is the stuff you eat. So, just we could, get us insight of your lifestyle.
So just give me 1 second. I'm just loading it up. So I track it on an app called Chronometer. I'm sure many people have heard of it. It's free, Chronometer. And what you do is you put in everything that you've consumed in that day, the amount and quantities, and it breaks down the whole nutritional profile from the calories to the protein, carbs, fat content, the micronutrients, so like your vitamins, your minerals, and also the protein profile. So all your essential amino acids are listed and the percentage targets with it. But my breakfast was about 680 calories today. What I did is I consumed in that one meal 1 can of chickpeas, 1 large red bell pepper, half a cucumber, 1 tomato, and a little bit of lemon juice, right? And I made a healthy version of what's called a chana chaat, which is an Indian snack, street food snack. Just from that one breakfast, I hit 59% of my fiber intake, 69% of my iron, 211% of my vitamin A that I should be consuming on a daily basis, 260% vitamin C, and then it's also got your B3, B2, B1, B5, B6 in there, 169 milligrams of calcium, your iron, your potassium, zinc, all types of things, But in that one meal, the most crucial part was the fiber, 22 grams of fiber in that one meal. And that's what animal products don't have. They don't have fiber. It's essential to our health because that's what gets our system moving. And like you said, the food sits there for a long time in the intestines otherwise, because it's been broken down and digested. And that's why not consuming fiber and these types of foods, it's going to cause you problems in the long run. But yeah, once you start looking into what you eat, and you'll be amazed at how much goodness you can get from just one meal like that.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, you just named how many? Like what? Four? Four. You just had
a lot.
Yeah, you just had 4 ingredients.
Oh yeah, 4 ingredients, but a hell of a lot of vitamins and minerals were smashed from that 4 ingredients in one meal.
Man, it's crazy. It's really good. I mean, you said 260% vitamin C. That's
260% vitamin C, 211% vitamin A, 69% iron. It's crazy, insane.
It's
9%. It's it's 5 milligrams of your iron, daily average for someone my size, my age is about 8 milligram.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are the points. Like iron is one of the points. B12 and vitamin D that they always like. That protein. These guys they always go behind those few points that there is actually a lot of alternative when it comes to the vegetarian world. That you have a lot of alternatives to substitute this with an animal product. But still, they really insist on these few points as like, man, from where I get my iron, from where I get this. But I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
like, I think the deliverance of this guidance or this speech or this like, lifestyle for them, this definition, this explanation of this topic to them, the deliverance is really important. As you said, if people could, perceive things the way you are doing it right now, but basically you need to break it down. Am I correct or wrong? You need to break it down and see what you're having and what this thing is giving me, and just compare it. Just okay, you know what? If literally, if anyone is like, if you guys really want to start doing something, just try it for let's say 4 days. Just 4 days. I will guarantee you will see a minimal difference.
100%.
Like, sorry if I'm saying this. Again, guys, sorry if I'm saying this. I had digestion problems. Man, dude, I used to go to the washroom when I was on a meat, like when I had meat in my diet. Dude, I used to go to washroom after every 2 days, man. That was how bad my digestion was working. With this vegan diet now, dude, 3 times a day, bro. I'm like happy. I'm light. There's no pressure, my brain is working, functioning better, no worries, this is one of the simplest changes that I've got. As you said, the skin, the way, the energy, your brain is breathing, the oxygen is going better. Literally, you see a lot of changes. I really encourage people to, at least if you're not, 100% about yourself, to change your diet, add more veggies to your meals. Literally, dude, you will see the difference, man. Chandan, man, dude, we can talk about this longer. As you said, it's like even off air, you've told me you're not a nutritionist and stuff. But again, man, when you're taking this much of caution when it comes to your health, that shows that you're on a good way. And kudos to you, man. I wish I was like, I look into these things like much more deeper. But again, with this episode, I'm going to be looking into things much more deep. And I mean, it's just crazy. It's that whole point, how to convince people to change a bit of their daily routine. And I hope we actually, reached out to people in a way that, if we get one guy to change or at least try it, we're winning.
100%.
So, man, I always ask my guests at the end of the show before wrapping it up, what you think it's next for the whole veganism or like plant-based diet movement? What you think it's next in the near future?
What do I think is next? I think it's growing rapidly, and I read somewhere that due to the pandemic, a lot more people are consuming more whole food, plant-based, and adopting these diets. And they're cutting back on their animal-based products because they're realizing, like you said, since this pandemic started, everyone's popping these vitamin C tablets and this tablet, and to try and get the micronutrients to support their immune system. And I think people are slowly starting to realize that, man, you can get all of these from your food if you just swap what you're eating. Exactly. And you can prevent all these diseases happening and all of these, whatever it is that happens to your body just by swapping what you eat. Well, so I think in the future, there's going to be a lot more vegans in this world, whether they're vegan for the environment, the animals, the health, just in general. It's going to benefit everyone and the earth as well.
Well, Chandan, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure to actually meet a like-minded person that I could share some of my, I could at least geek out a bit, man. I mean, sorry if I took the spotlight from you for a bit, but
it's great to hear you.
Man, again, man, I just wish that everyone take that initiative to change a bit about themselves, because again, your body is a holy place for yourself, because you need your body, as we talked. This is the engine. Don't use the wrong fuel for it. So just do your research, look into it. You will have an answer. Chandan, any final words, man?
Go vegan.
And before we wrap it up, where they can find you with your photography and your videography on social media?
Just type my name, Chnadan Sojitra, on Instagram. There on Facebook. I still developing my Facebook page, but I'm more active on Instagram. Or just type me in Google and you'll see a whole range of my interviews and features and my website.
Man, Chandan, I had a blast talking to you. Thank you very much for joining me for this session, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No worries, man. And stick around. I'm going to be taking the links from you to put it in the caption later on after we're off air.
Awesome.
Thank you again, man. It was a pleasure to have you on this session. And
Absolute pleasure.
We could enlighten some people about this whole diet. Is just crazy, man. It's crazy that we need to move on. It's time to change, man. Again, thank you very much for whoever was tuning in. Thank you very much again. Share this page with your friends. Let them know about the page, because we're going to be creating content like this on the go. And the Gamers Lounge giveaway, go to their page, Gamers Lounge Dubai, and look at the post and do the drill. Tag your friends. And if you want to get yourself an illustration like the one that I have in the show, contact Bundlehead. I will put his link in the caption later on. Chandan, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the flip side, bro.
Thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thanks all for tuning in.
Take care. Have a good night.
Likewise.